Hello, and welcome back to Sakuramoyu. I just got off uploading Haru's route. It's still uploading and processing. But yeah, we can get started with the grand route. Okay, here we go. Shimmer. Shimmer. Flutter. The world softly sighs. June and Mai. Before the girls, the Yoru no O finally appeared. He should have been an arch-enemy, for whom the girls held no grudge. It was merely a battle to obtain the maho they needed. But why? No one could forgive that O. For the future of humanity. Or for the lives of those dear to us. We will utterly destroy this O tonight, here. The girls were looking up at the Yozora. Floating there was a vast Akumu. That's right, it was far too massive. Who could possibly defeat that? Who could possibly sozo enough maho to shatter that? I'm sorry. It wasn't the girl. The one who confronted it wasn't a Tokubetsu no shoujo. A lone boy pointed his dangan, Kenju, at the writhing O in the Yozora. I finally caught up. My hero. Biting his lip bitterly, the boy pulled the trigger, aiming at the Yozora. Afterward, only the Yoru no O scream, as if tearing apart ears and hearts, simply remained. Ooh, new transition screen. Oh, his room without the clocks. Amazing. We're so used to seeing his room with a lot of clocks. Anyway, I wake up. It was morning just like any other. Tick tock tick. A room filled with the sound of a second hand. I don't see the clocks. Morning light streamed in from the window. I'd forgotten to close the curtains on. I let out a sigh. No matter the day, morning always comes just like the same. I checked the time on one of the many clocks. I've woken up just the right time, without needing an alarm. You could say it's only my special skill. I could always naturally wake up at the time I wanted. I wish I had that feeling. I wish I had a skill, to be honest. If I wanted to sleep 8 hours straight, I wish I could will myself to 8 hours straight of sleep. But anyway. Well, it's not like that. It's anything to brag about. This is why you're a kid, man. This is why you're a kid. An adult wishes for that. But that's about the only thing I, Kanede Taiga, can call a special skill. The only advantage I can find in myself. That's how utterly ordinary I am. Uh, a sigh. A yume. I feel like I was dreaming something. It was a long, long dream. Nagai no yume. Nagai to. Anyway, but I can't remember the scenery. Not a single fragment. Just something. Like I was dreaming a very important, meaningful yume. Lately, it's always been like this. Always waking up feeling unwell. I wonder when it started. When did I stop being able to remember the yume I had at night? It was almost as if I had unknowingly crossed the boundary of my boyhood. There was even a loneliness in that. And all of that, my shallow sleep, unable to remember even trivial dreams, my bad mood upon waking, it is all because of this environment. A room filled with the sound of ticking seconds wasn't exactly comfortable. But then again, there was nowhere else for me to be. I need to go out. I writhed out of bed and got ready. My hand fumbled with tying my tie, even though I should have been able to tie it somewhat neatly during my distant student days. What do you mean, my distant student days? Is this, huh?
私、すっごい
Wait, what taiga is this? Is this the taiga that meets Haru? Who is this? Which taiga is this? I think this is the taiga. I don't know. We don't have any indication yet, but like this is obviously a future taiga. And the mere fact that Toya's like question mark, this is like an adult taiga. The child who used to smile like that for me isn't anywhere anymore. I peered into the Kagami. I struggled trying this and that. Then I suddenly noticed my own face reflected there. What a terrible cow. Who is this dull-faced guy in front of me right now? Every morning with the same foolish question, I tilted my head and combed my hair and brushed my teeth. Yeah, I squinted my eyes at the dazzling morning light. How annoying, honestly. I blocked the sunlight with my raised palm. Haru. The town was completely covered in the blossoms of the sakura blooming everywhere. A warm season, a soft scent, a sweet breeze. Honestly, truly, it's just awful. I'm sick of it. I shook my head and started walking. As if leaving behind heavy, gloomy words from my heart instead of footprints, I hunched my back, avoiding the sparkling sky, and stared intently at my feet. Asa. Why does this Asa always come and day after day without fail? As I walked, Nah, Hiro, I muttered in my heart. Are you still fighting somewhere, saving this world again and again, over and over? I have one request. Could you stop saving the world already? I wish morning would never come. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if the world just ended already. There are people like me, right here, always wishing for that. For someone like me who's the hero and who's the villain. On the way, I bought flowers. It was a bouquet the clerk had put together for me, just picking whatever. What kind of flowers did she like again? I even forgotten something like that. I hadn't even tried to remember. What kind of flowers did I, like this, offer to her last year? Yeah, to begin with, were she and I even that close? I kept walking. The school road I once walked, laughing and making noise with my friends. Now it's a road where no one but me remains. It's a slope leading to the academy. Dragging my heavy body and heart, I climb. I was out of breath, even though I shouldn't have aged that much since my student days. Back then, something like this wasn't a struggle at all. My body, my heart, and my relationships too. I am a being who cannot live without changing. I offered flowers. It's a schoolyard. Today is that anniversary. Oh, okay. This is a Haru in a timeline where, this is a taiga where Haru died. And wait, no. Which timeline taiga is this? On this day several years ago, here, in this very place, a dear friend passed away. Nah, Haru. How many years had passed since then? I couldn't save her. Yeah, that's not it. I didn't even try to save her. I couldn't pull the trigger. What exactly did the trigger refer to? Now I can't even clearly remember that. Wait. Is this the world line where Taiga didn't end up shooting her to send her to the past, her past rather? So she still ended up committing suicide even after that. What the hell? But I couldn't say that, girl. I didn't pull the trigger. Only ungraspable regret still takes root in my heart. Wait, I can't tell which one when. Maybe this is timeline A, where he decided not to go on the journey to help Haru. It could be, timeline. It could be as simple as timeline A instead of like going through all the timelines and then he couldn't shoot her in the clock tower, because at that point, when he couldn't shoot her. Yeah, at that point, both of them were destined to die. But timeline A, maybe, yeah, I think this is timeline A. I clutch my head. I grit my teeth. Tears well up. It's a Akumu. This must be my Akumu. Forgive me, Haru. Only that feeling always remains. Hiragi Haru. My Osana Najimi. My dear friend. She threw herself from the roof of the school. It was in Haru, with the Sakura dancing. Doshite? Doshite daro? Why did you have to die? Now that she's gone, the reason will forever remain unknown. I clasp my hands and close my eyes. In my heart, I offered a prayer. Haru, gomen nasai. Today, the academy's closed. There are no students. Several teachers with work left are in the staff room. I'm one of them. Even though when school is closed, teachers have mountains of work. Okay, so he still became a teacher. Interesting. At least I like that he's consistent about like that one aspect of him. But yeah, so wait a second. No, this can't be like I don't know if this can or can't be like a timeline A. Like, because if this is timeline A, that means he and Kuro would have at least beat the Maho no Kenju. But I think this is like maybe a timeline where Haru just jumped off. He couldn't save her. She dies. And he doesn't do anything about it. He doesn't even make the Maho with I don't know, because I'm trying to give space, like he could still have access to Saigo no Maho, but maybe this is already the timeline where he already used up his Saigo no Maho and he decided to chicken out and not pull the trigger, and life goes on. When I was a child, being a teacher seemed like a very easy job. We used to say things like, it must be easy and carefree, getting praise just for scolding kids who are clearly beneath you. But as an adult, I realized that what I laughed about as easy and carefree as a child actually comes with hardships that are not just that. Is it because I've become an adult myself and my perspective have broadened somewhat? Or am I just pretending to be a little wiser, having learned about hardships I didn't need to know? Either way, it's nothing good. There was no mentality worth of praise anywhere. I, Kanade Taiga, became a teacher at this academy, my alma mater. I don't have any particular complaints about my current job. Being a teacher is just busy, but I'm able to get by. But did I truly wish for a future like this? How did the young me who attended this academy imagine my own future? At the very least, it wasn't like this. Those words slipped out with an involuntary sigh. I covered it up with a wry smile to my colleague next to me, saying, "No, it's nothing. Go in." Lunch break. Alone, I headed to the clock tower's control room with my lunch. It's quiet and deserted here, which is nice. I like how the clock tower has a table and a chair, but the Yoro version of it has the same with like a record player for some reason. Anyway, I opened the window and looked down. Did Haru, long ago, also see this view from here? The wind blew and my cheeks felt cold. As I gazed at the town scenery, I bit into the nutritional food bar I stashed in my desk drawer. Nutritional food bar? The absolute state of this, bro. Today, no good. Since his Haru's death anniversary, my heart and mind inevitably filled with old memories and unshakable regret. I'm making a lot of mistakes. Grading errors, missed reports. I ended up getting a long lecture from the Fukuincho in front of my colleagues, complete with plenty of sarcasm. That teacher, elderly when I was a student, is now a Fukuincho. I, his former student, returned as a sensei. Though our positions had changed, the length of the teacher's lectures remained the same. I'm tired. I truly feel it. Of course, I was tired in many ways, from the long drawn-out lecture and from embarrassment I felt towards my colleagues. A sigh. I never imagined that living would be like this difficult. To live all alone. This world is simply too heavy. Nah, Haru. After you were gone, we naturally drifted apart. Even after losing Haru, I couldn't bring myself to talk nonsense like we used to. Before I knew it, we stopped commuting to school together too. We didn't meet on holidays, even at school, in class. We gradually stopped exchanging hellos and goodbyes. I learned after the graduation ceremony from Hiyori that only Chiwa apparently continued to make bentos for all of us until we graduated. Wait, that only means I felt like it's only Taiga who drifted apart because it was the mere fact that Hiyori mentioned Chiwa still doing the bento. Even though I felt incredibly apologetic, that was the end of it. Since then, I haven't seen any of them. So it's only Taiga who drifted apart from them, I guess. What are they all doing now, I wonder? Tomohiro had said he was taking photos in a distant country where conflicts never cease. I got a call from him a year or two ago. What is he? He's now a photographer? Well, there was that thing in Chiwa's route where Tomohiro went out, but the only reason Tomohiro went and traveled the world was because Taiga felt that sudden urge to try to remember something he was forgetting. But I don't get how Tomohiro got into like taking photos in a distant country where conflicts never cease. I asked him, "Hey, what happened to your ongaku?"
言ったろ。俺は音楽そのものになりたかったんだよ。思いを、言葉を、ずっと遠い未来にいる人に届けたかった。何も音楽を奏でる誰かになりたかったわけじゃない。
Ah, is that so? I replied. Ah, that's right, came the reply. The call ended with just that. Unlike back then when we had that friendship, no pointless conversation blossomed between us. Jesus, that is a really awkward conversation. Like, yeah. Which of us had grown up? Or had neither of us managed to fully grow up? Only one thing was certain. Well, I get what Tomohiro was doing. He wants to send something to the future, so I guess him taking photos is one way to send things to the future, but it's still left field for me. Only one thing was certain. We could never go back to how our relationship used to be. That was all. As expected, I'm left with nothing but the feeling of being tired. Ever since I became an adult, every day has been heavy. There's just too much I had to do. I totally understand that, man. I probably even shouldn't be reading a VN right now. I'm probably running away from something really important right now, but like, it's manageable, I guess. Anyway. Too many things I shouldn't have to think about have simply increased. And the person I am now is simply too different from the person I once envisioned myself to be. Each day, mainichi mainichi. 1 second, 1 second. The time I spent living as an adult became an unspeakable self-loathing. The feeling of it piling up in some precious part of my heart. I just hated it. I was utterly exhausted. I was sick of it. Haru. If there was a place like Tengoku, I don't know if I'd be able to go there, though. If I could meet you there, Haru, let's compare notes. Why you had to choose that? I've thought about it a lot in my own way. I closed my eyes. I felt the wind on my cheek. They say that the greatest sin awaits those who treat life lightly. So I guess we can't go to Tengoku after all. But this real world is a greater Chikoku than anything. Chikoku isn't anywhere else. It's right here, right now. Life is suffering. Then we go back to the whole Subahime conversation. Anyway, just kidding. If I could do that, I would have already. I'm the kind of guy who couldn't even pull that trigger. That's why I'm living living like this. No, at the very least, he had the concept of pulling the trigger or not, so I'm guessing he at least used his Saigo no Maho. He made his Maho at the very least, but he ended up never using it. Wait, what was the price he paid for his Saigo no Maho? I can't remember what price he paid for the Saigo no Maho. Anyway. Nothing, not a single thing, went well. And I have no dreams or hopes. I'm just living. Surely it'll stay the same from now on, forever. Yeah, I can't remember the price he paid. I finish work and head home. Dofuku Incho. Incho? No, Incho. No. That's what? Fuko Gakuincho? I forgot. You love Vice Principal. Fuck it. I forgot. She asked me with a sarcastic remark about how nice it must be to leave on time. Typical Japanese work thing. Toxic environment. If I go back to my seat to work a little longer, I get yelled at to go home. That those without motivation aren't needed. If I can't leave on time comfortably, then I have no idea why I even became a public servant. A few students who seem to have been at school for club activities waved, "Sayonara, sensei," and ran off. Wait, that's a public school? A school that looks this fancy looking? This doesn't even look like a you know, it looks like a rich kid's school or some shit. Without waving back, I slowly walked down the school's hill. I could feel my hunger, but I didn't have much of an appetite. I bought kapumen, a nutrition bar, and a small pudding for dessert at the konbini, then went home. Tadaima. But even if I said that, there was no reply. I'll eat dinner all alone. I turned on the TV, but there were no programs that interested me. So I quickly turned it off. Silence fell. Creak. The house groaned and I flinched. I turned around, about to call out someone's name. I stopped. Yeah. Whose name was I about to say? I didn't know. These days I hardly remember anymore. Someone must have lived here with me. Kind people must have waited here for me to come home. I can't remember. What's important slips away from me day by day. What I want to cherish moment by moment. This world is so unreasonable, so unfair. Is it really worth living? I didn't feel like eating the pudding, so I put it in the fridge. How did the clocks go back there? I hate that inconsistency, man. I know it's a minor thing, like in the morning scene, for some reason the clocks don't exist, but now they exist. and he described having the clocks existing, you know. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird in the morning scene the clocks that weren't there. I just don't understand, man. I took a quick shower, brushed my teeth, finished preparing for tomorrow, and got into bed. I'm tired. It's no good. Once I'm wrapped in my futon, it's over. I don't feel like doing anything. I have enough time to read a book, or watch a movie, or play a game until sleep comes. I finish work on time. No matter how I waste time now, it shouldn't affect tomorrow's work yet. I just have no energy. I just want to sleep as long as I have time. I want to keep sleeping like a log. I totally understand that, Kaiga, man. I sighed, wrapped in my futon. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Suddenly, that thought crossed my mind. Every night, these feelings overwhelm me every single night. What kind of Mirai did I imagine when I was a child, or during my fun school days? Was it the Mirai with more smiles? Was it bustling everyday life? Bustling Hibi, surrounded by many people? Even if there were difficulties, would it have been my back, challenging battles that were recognized as worth fighting? It's a bad end. That's what I thought. This moment right now, with me already exhausted by reality and about to fall asleep, this is undoubtedly the bitter end of a bad ending. A lot of us live life like this, by the way, so a lot of us already are at the bitter end of the bad ending. Where did I go wrong? Where did I make the wrong choice? Neru. Keep sleeping. We're not seeing any dreams at all. It's dark. Pitch black. Where is my light? How long will this life of mine continue? That's enough. I wish tomorrow would never come. At least wishing for that, dreaming of it, I let out a sigh deep within my heart. What is it? It's noisy. It doesn't seem to be a malfunction of my alarm clock. A denwa? Wait, what happened to the clocks? Where are they gone? It's a denwa. That digital sound is probably a ketai denwa. But where exactly is it coming from? I don't own a ketai denwa. I handle all my communications with a landline. If I had a ketai denwa, I could be called anytime, anywhere, and that situation somehow turns into terrible impatience, making me restless. It's as if I'm wearing an invisible collar. Where exactly is it ringing? I searched for the ketai denwa, rubbing my sleepy eyes and eyelids. But there was no need to search for the ketai denwa. It was simply placed by my makara. Questions, mysteries, confusion. They welled up from every angle, but... Moshi moshi. Anyway, I picked up the device and pressed the call button. Oh, it's Kuro. A voice came through, mixed with a harsh static, but I couldn't hear it. I could tell someone was speaking from the other end of the speaker. But a noise like a TV static kept ringing, as if trying to drown out that voice. I called out Moshi Moshi repeatedly several times, but the situation didn't change. It gradually started to feel eerie. Just in case, I offered a brief apology. Gomen nasai. It's hard to hear you clearly, and tried to move the speaker away from my ear. Huh? Suddenly the static cleared, and a voice came from the other side of the speaker. That voice kept calling my name over and over. Mate. Dareka. How do you know my name? The voice was somewhat hoarse. I somehow understood it. It was because the person on the other end of the denwa was crying. After a brief, very, very short silence, just enough to wipe away tears, the voice reached me again.
あなたに助けてほしい人がいるんだよ。
Me? Someone who needs my help.
お願いします。どうか私の夢を一緒に叶えて。タイガー、お願い。答えて。ちゃんと聞こえてる。ちゃんとつながってる。
Just wait a moment, please. I don't understand. I don't understand any of it. It's the middle of the night. Suddenly I received a call from a ketai denwa I didn't recognize. And then someone I didn't know. A girl with a cute voice was asking me for help. She was pleading with me, saying there was someone who needed my help. Really, just wait a moment. That's too sudden. I don't know what's going on. There was silence. The sound of the clock in my room seemed unnaturally loud.
そうだよね。わからないよね。ちゃんと説明しなくちゃだよね。
I heard a sound like someone sniffling, and then the person on the other end of the denwa muttered, "What I remember is..."
ねえ、タイガー。覚えているのはどこまで？
Huh? Oboitie.
タイガが、あなたがこの町にやってくる前のこと、私と一緒にこの世界に復讐しようって、そう誓ったよね。それまでの時間について、タイガ、どこまで覚えてる？
What? Revenge on the world? Huh? What? With you? To this town?
そこのところは思い出せないならいいんだよ。寂しいけれど、今はいい。重要なのは、この町へやってくる前のこと。
How much of that do I remember? The person on the denwa forcefully said it was more important than anything, even the end of the world. Well, I think. About the time before I came to this town. And then, what is the oldest memory I can recall? Huh? Something's wrong. Kashi. There was nothing. I had no Kyoko within me. Doshite? Since I came to this town, Kodomachi, I made many friends. I even experienced saddest farewell. Sayonara. All those Kyoko since coming to this Kodomachi, except for the inexplicable things. I should remember almost all of them yet. Doshite? I can't remember anything. Where exactly did I come from before this? What exactly did I come here to do?
やっぱり。
The person in the denwa seemed to be crying again. どうして? どうして泣いてる? What happened? What happened to you? Or what didn't happen? I had no proof, but I can't shake the feeling that the cause of her sadness on the denwa is deeply connected to me. I can't shake that premonition. Not knowing what to say or what to ask, I could only choose silence. To me, the shoujo on the denwa said, "Gomenasai." She apologized for suddenly saying such things.
時間ないけど、説明するよ。
Her voice, almost drowned out by the sound of her sniffling, and her sadness sounded like it could disappear at any moment.
タイガー、聞いてくれるかな？私の話。
Ah,
少し長くなってしまっても、いい？平気？
Heiki. As long as you have time, Chigan, I won't be able to sleep tonight anyway. I can listen to your story for as long as you need. I tried to smile, but of course it wouldn't reach the person on the denwa. But the girl sounded a little relieved, and she said, "Arigato."
タイガー。
ん？
今から話すことはね、あなたにとってとても遠い過去のこと。
Ah,
だけど同時にとても遠い未来の話でもあるの。
what Are you saying Taiga is also the same case as Haru? Like some dude who came from the future, who went to the present time, and then he meets Haru, who, as an older man, who is in the future, who sends herself to the present. And anyway, never mind. Huh? What's wrong? But then the girl suddenly fell silent.
私は
She said in a small voice.
私は今からあなたのことを傷つけるかもしれない。でもそれでも私は
As expected, there's still so much I don't understand. Even so, I don't want to hear a girl crying, and I can't allow such a reality. That's why... Okay, I said. I'm used to getting hurt. I lived through terrible days after all. Even if I leave it alone, my worthless pride and self-esteem are always in tatter. If my heart's to be hurt anyway, I'd rather a cute-voiced girl like you hurt me. Huh, that sounds hentai, doesn't it? God, I wish that were me. Anyway. I offered a small laugh, but whether the girl was laughing back, I couldn't tell. Right now, I don't even know where this girl is, what kind of face she's making, or where she's making this call from. If I can, I'm starting to think I want to help her. You said you might hurt me. I don't mind. It's true. If that's what it takes for you to stop crying, then no matter how much, I don't mind being hurt. You said arigato again, or so I think. It was too soft to hear, but I'm sure it was that. And then you began to speak.
これはあなたたちのための物語。
With that voice, slowly lisping somehow.
そしてこれはあなたの幸せを探し出すための物語。
With a viral voice as if focusing her gaze forward, so as to not be defeated by tears.
もう二度とあなたたちが悲しまなくても済むようにと、私はずっといつまでもずっと祈ってる。
Wait, I'll take a pause. You know what? I'll eat lunch. This so I would be like in full energy for this one. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Suddenly, I shivered and woke up. A small bell chimed. My partner, Otomodachi, or perhaps Kasaku, sleeping beside me. I confirmed their face, breathing softly in sleep, and felt relieved. They're probably beside me. I always worry if there's something gone somewhere while I was dreaming. I'm always anxious. I'll never let go of this hand. I swear it again and again, but... Gomen. I'll be right back. I woke up from my sleep, not because I had some painful nightmare, but because that sensation had roughly caressed my skin, and then my heart. I'm heading out. I'll be back by morning. I muttered quietly and stood up. Once more, a faint bell chimed. My cheeks naturally relaxed at the sound. I stepped outside and counted the nangan. What's left is... How many shots were left in that? Meant to protect the mirai for the two of us. Beyond the Yozara I looked up at, there was a clock tower. A hero. I murmured to myself, Nah, where are you? Where did our hero go? I clenched my teeth bitterly, and I slipped the cold lump of steel into my pocket. Pocketto. I, Kanade Taiga, was born with a strange ability. There's nothing this Kinju, clutch in my hand can't shoot through. Tatoeba, hard concrete walls or the ground. If I pull the trigger, even the 9mm Kenju's dangan can shatter things like a cannonball. The target of destruction doesn't necessarily have to be physical. Even if it's something invisible, I can destroy it. Tatoeba, yure, evil spirits, and bad dreams I see at night. Or even an unwanted difficult mirai. I can shoot through it all, crush it and destroy it. That is my innate ability. Kinda the taigas. As if. I wish I had such a straightforward ability. If I did, I'd truly be a hero. I could have even deluded myself into thinking that. That's right. I think I could have childishly convinced myself that I was the only one of my kind in the world. But Kami-sama didn't grant me such straightforwardness. My true innate ability is... I felt a shiver of dread. I looked around, and then I found it. It was a bench, set up in the corner of the main street. A woman was resting alone. Next to her was a young man. He was laying both of his hands over the woman's. Those trembling hands seemed to desperately hold onto a precious life, ready to vanish at any moment. But the woman can't see that person at all. Gomen, the man says. We promise to live together forever. A sayonara like this? That's just too cruel, isn't it? Just like that, the voice of the person who's speaking so softly won't reach the woman either. Even then, he just keeps on talking. No pause, no end. Like it's all he's ever going to do. My hands were clasped firmly around those of a woman who looked as though she left her smile behind ages ago. I'm standing in front of those two people. The woman looked at me for a moment and tilted her head slightly as if puzzled. I'd had a hunch this person wasn't the kind who would hurt that girl. Even so, keeping my guard up, I reach inside my pocket and feel the kinju. Feeling that chill, I quietly, ever so softly, said it. If I could see the person I cherish just one more time, is there anything you'd like to tell that person? I asked the two of them that question at the same time. I don't know if you'll believe me, but right there beside you, there's a man who's been holding your hand the entire time. Then a single large tear spilled from the woman's eye.
愛してると伝えたい。
The woman spoke.
もう一度あの子の目を見て、あなただけが大好きだったと伝えたいんだ。
She was crying as she said that a life where even something like that couldn't come true was something she wanted to let go right here, right now. I once had someone, an irreplaceable person, who had promised to marry me. He was more than a full year younger than me. They lost their parents young, left alone. A woman took them in, raising them like a okasan over 10 years ago. Raising a child all on was beyond any word, like tough. It was one relentless string of hardship after hardship. But every bit of that hardship could just as easily be rewritten as simple happiness.
私は子供を産めない体だった。
The woman said that. That's a lingering effect from some serious illness I had as a kid.
母親になることが夢だった。誰もが当たり前に叶えられる類の夢だと思っていた。
If even such an ordinary happiness isn't allowed, then I'm merely that insignificant.
その程度なのだから、これからもきっと幸せなんて訪れない。ならば、いつ死んでしまっても構わない。そう思っていたけれど。
She adopted that child, raised them, fulfilling her yume.
私の夢を叶えるために、お前の人生を利用して悪かった。
It was that child's 18th birthday. That night, celebrating just the two of them, the woman told him that. For a present, she gave him a tie and a little money, also as celebration for getting a job. You're right. You certainly did use my life, if you feel even a little bad about it. The child hugged the woman's present tightly, as if it were precious, and said, I love you. I want you to marry me. Oh, man, it's one of those. Well, that didn't stop. They were able to avoid that hit Hyrule route, but For these people, they didn't.
驚いた。
I want to live with just you from now on, understand? Just the two of us. I don't need kids. In fact, they'd be a nuisance.
あの子は真剣だった。
I don't want to stay as a mother and her child. I truly love you. If my life was used for your Yume, then take responsibility for my life until the very end. Society wouldn't permit such a thing. The child smiled, asking, Weird? Can't you act without society's permission? I remember feeling strangely convinced, thinking, Ah, yes.
それにこれまでお母さんと呼ばれたことは一度もなくて寂しさを覚えていたけれど
I hadn't realized such feelings existed there.
こんなおばさんのどこがいいんだ
When she said that, the child laughed and replied, Everything's good about you. It's obvious, isn't it? What name could these feelings in my heart have? Please, give me some time to think, she replied.
少し
Just a little
あ
more.
と少しだけ
To the child who kept pressing her for an answer, she always evaded by saying that,
分
but
かった結婚くらいなら知ってもいいぞ
this Haru, she replied bluntly. She was too embarrassed to say, It seems I like you too. The child jumped for joy, but she had thought that someday she'd be able to properly tell him, I love you, but she had even completed the troublesome paperwork so they could live together as a married couple from now on, but on the night they decided the wedding day, the child was stabbed by a random attacker and passed away. Oh, fuck. Jesus, man. That's so unlucky. Why is life so fragile? Why should I resent? Is it this era where people have lost their hearts? Or is it myself who lacked the Yuki to say I love you and could never convey just that one thing?
大好きだ
I convey those
あ
feelings.
なたのことだけを愛してた
I delivered those words. These were feelings and words I couldn't convey. The two of them smiled, just a little alone, but not alone. From now on, they'd always be together, thinking that I could somehow keep living. With those words and feelings leaving double the thanks for some stranger like me. And so leaning into each other, the two of them departed. Yokatta. After I watched her walk away, I took my hand off the pistol in my pocket. I thought it was a specter, targeting that child, but I was wrong. Tonight, I then had to use this. I can see that. That was my ability. Next to everyone, there's always one, or sometimes two. Sometimes someone who cares deep for that person. When you are sad, they gently lean in. When you are lonely, they strongly grasp your trembling hand. So that you, who are precious to them, can live happily. They always gently cheer you on and try to lend their strength. I could actually see that invisible someone. It couldn't help but feel a little different from what you'd call a yure. It's just a feeling, no logic, so I didn't call them yure, but those who see that. However, these debts are never entirely good. Some from crushing loneliness of being unnoticed, or sorrow from facing the night alone, try to take loved ones with them. In that case, I'd just shoot them with my kenju. My kenju can destroy anything that has form. Can't? The only thing that can truly be broken is the invisible world of kimochi. This is just a model gun. The ammo is specifically refined to fire kimochi. When they appear nearby, a chill runs through my body. I thought it was some malevolent presence tailing us. This is bad. I want to protect that child. That's why I took this kenju and stepped down to the hideout alone to get a feel for the situation. I look up at the sky. Small pebbles fluttering down, dancing in the night. I blew a puff of air, sending one of them flying. I was told that these abilities would eventually vanish as I approach adulthood, but I have been told I would become a normal adult, just like all the other children, but I want to grow up fast. That's all I can wish for. I can never meet the person I truly want to see. I don't need a power like this. Let's sleep. I'll go home and sleep. The two of us will sleep together until morning now, holding Kibo for the day I can meet that child again in my dreams. Humming a familiar little song, I return. Hold on a second. After hearing that much, I cut out the girl's story. It was a strange experience, though. The girl began to speak and close her eyelids. Then, as if watching a Yume, I was enveloped in a sensation as it narrated images and sounds were playing. Wait, so this is Kuro telling him... Was that still Taiga? Or was that someone else who we thought that... Because I thought that was Taiga, but like, huh? Anyway, perhaps the strangest thing was the feeling itself. That's just how it is. Or perhaps I was being made to feel that way. But now, before speaking up about any of that, there was something I was more concerned about.
どうして
It was the girl's voice, coming from the other end of the denwa.
どうしてちょっと待ってなの
Her voice seemed to be trembling with anxiety. Oshiete?
何を
That's my story, isn't it?
うんあなたの未来あるいは過去
What? At that voice, echoing like a whisper, I felt like holding my head in my hands. My kako no hanashi? Or my mirai no hanashi? Even muttering it to myself, my doubts wouldn't clear. I don't remember any of it at all. What I was being told sounded like nothing but someone else's business. If that's a mirai no hanashi, it hasn't happened to me yet. Then it's natural I don't remember it. Yeah. A monogatari of the mirai, she says. Oh, anyway, I think it's a monogatari. Am I supposed to believe such a thing? Who is this girl anyway? What exactly is she trying to tell me? My doubts are endless, and so is my confusion. Besides, I don't have any strange power like seeing death or anything.
それは
Alright,
それはね大人になれば消えてしまう能力だから
everyone is special when they're a child, she said, in a faint voice.
そういう力があったってことを含めて記憶の中からも消えてしまう夜に関することは全てそうなる
Yoru! Chime. I heard the faint sound of a bell from the other end of the denwa.
続き話してもいい
Even as I answered, I couldn't help but wonder if it was truly okay to hear what came next. You said you might end up hurting me, but the true nature of this hesitation was surely fear. If I heard any more, would I truly be unable to turn back? Even from the daily life of repeating ordinary suffering, I felt scared to take a step forward. But just as much, I want to change. That kind of expectation was in my heart. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Didn't I have another life? Because if those thoughts never disappeared. Because this present full of only unpleasant things was so painful, so unbearable. Even if I were confronted with a cruel past and a cruel future. If I could remain something I seem to have forgotten in my distant childhood, my ordinary reality might change. With such a convenient hope, I said, I want you to tell me. Onegai, please, oshiete. The monogatari. Jesus. The bell chimed again. That was the answer. My kako, or perhaps my mirai. That uncertain time began anew.
まずはあなたの夢の話から
Little by little, in a somewhat faltering tone, the Kanaja began to tell me the rest of the story.
少し特別な力を持ったあなたは特別な夜の中で真っ白に輝く夢と出会った手と手を伸ばし微笑み合ってでも二人は決して触れられもしない夜の中あなたたちは恋をする
Huh?
そうしてあなたは知ってしまうの本当のヒーローはどこに行ってしまったのかを
Am I truly prepared to be hurt? I felt as if being questioned like that. So I said nothing more and simply quietly listened to the girl's voice. This is getting confusing, guys. I hear a uta. It was a uta with a melody that was quiet yet incredibly powerful, like petals fluttering down the yoru. I felt as if the unforgettable uta was calling to me. I awakened. I opened my eyelids. Then I realized I was standing in a dazzling place. Kokoa. It was as if I wandered into a emo. This was my first impression. A glittering, mabushi, yorono. I can't remember what city is in Japanese. Night City. Night City. Welcome back, Cyberpunk. Anyway, strange beings moving about everywhere. Even the Sora I looked up was fushigi. In the Sora color with the hues of Hana, there wasn't a single familiar constellation. Soft, mashiro particles of hikari drifted gently upward, even without a breeze. No. As I vaguely followed the path of the hikari particles with my gaze, I thought, I should have fallen asleep as usual. I hadn't performed any special rituals or possessed any kagis to lead me here. Yet when I next woke, I was here, within a yoru more dazzling than the world of midday. Ah, soka. Is this the Yoru no Kuni-up rumor? I muttered, still looking up at the Sora. Really, just by sleeping in this town, just by getting close to that clock tower, I can come here. The sakura fluttered down. If I strained my ears, a distant densha whistle vibrated through the air. I look around. We came to this konomachi. Sakura no Mori, Sanzen no Machi, aiming for here. That's because there's something I'm looking for. But a casual glance around revealed no trace of what I was searching for. Again, I heard the uta. Urged on by the mysterious melody, I wandered aimlessly. Before I knew it, I was at the large ekimai. Locomotives constantly sliding in. Various somethings boarding and disembarking there. The station grounds where they came and went were lined with various shops, like a large city. I look up. Beyond that, a huge clock tower. I had to go there. Someone was calling me from there. I surely felt that way, and I moved forward. I entered the place like a back alley. Suddenly, it became deserted. Would it really be okay to go further in here? A sudden fear sent a shiver down my spine. But it seemed I had to go through this passage to reach the clock tower I looked up at. I heard a faint voice. Halfway down the passage, stairs led to the second floor. Above, deep darkness swallowed the stairs pat. Sounds came from within. Aota. I strained my ears. No doubt about it. A faint uta could be heard from beyond the Kurayami. It's a uta I know, and it was a uta I've heard countless times over and over. As if drawn by that singing voice, I took a step onto the stairs. I cautiously reached the second floor passage. I arrived before a door carved with antique-style engravings. The uta seemed to be coming from beyond it. The sound of a record playing from an old phonograph. That was the impression of the timbre. Oh, okay, so they will explain why the clock tower is that record player now, which they showed in Hyrule Route. I grasped the doorknob. Is it okay to discern this? Beyond this might lie an Akamu, or perhaps a comedy so delightful I'd wish it would never end and I'd never wake up. What I've been searching for such a long long time is beyond this. That expectation was there too, at the same time. I hesitated. There was this life here as well. But turning my back and retreating now, that was not an option. Slowly, I turned the knob. Carefully, I pushed the door. It opened. The uta grew louder. The moment the door opened, the melody that must have filled the room poured out all at once. It was the Tokyo's control room. Tokito. Okay, Tokito. Ooh, I had to search that up right now. It wasn't just the uta. A grinding, heavy strain sound filled the air. It was the sound of gears turning ceaselessly, advancing the giant clock's second hand. It was the back of the clock face. Exposed gears and other mechanisms continued to spin along the room's walls. In the center of that room, a gramophone was placed. And from it, the uta played, echoing through the yoru. In that not-so-spacious room, not only records, but also many hon and eo were arranged. Finally, I found it. Literally who? Is that Meguca Madoka? So this is the mystery person. And she kind of looks like Madoka for some reason. She actually does look like Madoka. So finally, we meet the mysterious person. There was a girl, Shoujo, a dazzling dress, long hair, translucent white skin. She gently closed her eyelids, listening intently to the uta that echoed from it. Her appearance was just like koinu, or inuko. Anyway, those words had, without thinking, spilled from my mouth. Literally who? No, seriously, literally who? But seriously, she also looks like Madoka for some reason, but color white instead of pink. The girl opened her eyelids. Then she turned to face me. Her face was surprised. Koinu. Okay, Koinu. Thanks for the correction. Is that really the first thing to be concerned about? Not surprised by an intruder, not condemning me. For some reason, I said, a smile playing on my lips, even though I myself wondered if that was what I should be talking about right now. You know, like a speaker manufacturer. Koinu? 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 It's not. I'm not recalling a speaker manufacturer. You know, the one. The puppy sitting in front of the gramophone, tilting its head. The famous logo, right? Let me search that up. Speaker manufacturer with a gramophone logo. His master's voice. Wait. The speaker audio company with the famous gramophone logo. A dog named Nipper listening to gramophone. It's primarily associated with the RCA Victor and its predecessor, the Victor Talking Machine Company. A globally recognized trademark originally for the gramophone company linked to JVC in Japan. Oh, they are actually a legit. That's a legit reference. I don't know. I don't have that yet. She nodded, indicating she's seen it before. The gramophone played the deceased owner's voice. The puppy stayed, never leaving, peering into the machine playing its beloved master's voice. A photograph taken to commemorate the... I just fucking heard the word. Koinu. Commemorate that Koinu's image became the company symbol. There's an anecdote, or rather, uwasa, like that. Somehow you look like that, Koinu. The girl blinked her large eyes. No way. I shake my head. Living things can never meet those who have died again, so I'm sure the two of them never met.
そうだね。
Instead of nodding, the girl tilted her head slightly, just like that Koinu. But she wasn't tilting it towards the gramophone in front of her. She was tilting it towards me, who had suddenly appeared.
あなたは
Narrated. I thought she was going to ask that, but
タイガ
oh, she knows him. Huh?
奏でタイガ
She tilted her head with a faint smile, as if asking, "That's right, isn't it? How do you know my name?"
知ってるよ。
Just then, the uta playing from the gramophone ended.
飼い主の帰りを信じて待っていた子犬は大切な人ともう二度と会えなかったかもしれないけれど、
That was timely.
でもね、私はあなたと会えたよ。
The girl said,
私はあなたとこうして会える夜のことをずっと昔から。あなたがこの世界に生まれてくるずっと前から待っていたんだよ。
what is going on? Wait. Oh shit. Okay, I can't work with this. I hate how it's hard to take screenshots, man. 今のタイガを助けられる方法は、道具は、魔法は、ここには夢の寝床にはないだろうけれど、でも私の中にはそれはあるんだよ。この電話を君が切る、それを合図にしよう。そうすれば全部元通りになるはずだから。それでもね、今日一つだけ自分の気持ちについて分かったんだよ。大好き。私、君のことが大好きだよ。
一人目覚める朝に差し込む光もなくて、闇に閉ざされた部屋の隅であなたを待っていた。繰り返す孤独な夜に願うのはかすかなぬくもり。惹かれ合う星のように巡り合う時夢見て、あなたの心が描いた希望は今もまだこの夜を照らす星。I find you anytime and place 遠く離れてもその優しさで私を包んで、新たな朝が来るその時まで導いてよ。
Oh, nice. Finally, the second opening song. All right, final stretch. Well, more like the final arc. We're not yet in the final stretch. We are just beginning this final arc, man. Oh, I'm so excited. She's been waiting for a chance to meet me like this. I've been waiting here long before. She'd been waiting here long before I was even born into this world. I slipped my hand into my pocket, but the Kenju that ought to be there isn't. All I could do was stand there frozen, unable to say a word.
あなたは大河、私は真っ白。
Yo, Mashiro. Love is pure white. Well, okay, so. Oh, Kuro means black. Mashiro, pure white. Oh, what did they mean by this? Anyway, she smiled warmly and spoke.
私には過去も未来も、そして今さえもない。何もない。ただの真っ白。だから真っ白。
Me too. I too know about you. Saying that out loud right now would still be too soon.
ありがとう。
Then, with the same smile on her face, the girl said to me, Arigato. What the hell? What exactly I should be grateful for? She should be grateful for. I couldn't help but wonder this time.
ここからあなたのこと見ていたよ。
Her name isn't even translated. The small window in the heya that had been left wide open. Beyond it, the girl. That Mashiro-looking girl, pointing her finger.
私たち夜の住人の言葉を、死者の思いを、その人の大切な誰かへ届けてくれてたね。あなたはきっとこれまでも何度も何度もそういう風に夜と現実とをつなぎ、そこにある思いを届けてくれたはずで。
I saw all of that. Watch it unfold from right here.
そうだね。
She gave a gentle smile.
すべてではないけれど、いっぱい見ていたよ。特にあなたがこの町に来てからのことはね。だからまずお礼がしたくて。
Arigato?
そう、お礼だよ。何でも言ってみて。彼らの代わりに私があなたへお礼をするよ。
Whenever a girl tells me, I'll make your nagai come true, I can't help but look away. Who are you the one taking me in their place? That part I just don't get. It's not like I wanted thanks or anything. Did he just submitted this there? What the girl said was nothing special. Just a thing she did without any real affection. I had a strange power inside me. Kana de taiga. I can see people's that. If that shows up nearby, a cold shiver will rip through my entire body. Whenever I pick up on that vibe, I grab my Kenju and meet it head on. It might be a bad thing that's just after us. If that's true, I'll have to pull the trigger on the Kenju. If that wasn't the case, then all I've been doing was casually playing a bit part. Masquerading as a go-between for two hearts. Right, it's just a convenient side thing. So even... Oh, it's a part-time job, I guess. But he does it for free. Anyway, so even though she thanked me like that, it still only made me feel awkward. I have something I want to find in this realm of Yume. That's why the two of us came to this Konomachi. Our small hands clasped tightly, vowing to never let go. That uta. I pointed at the gramophone. Just then, the uta that had been playing cut off. I'm looking for the person who wrote that uta. The needle automatically moves to the outer edge of the record. Once again, the same song uta starts playing from the beginning, blurring softly, lightly. It was the melody that called to mind, the sakura softly drifting to the quiet night. I came here as it lured by that song. If I could just find that person, maybe they'd help somehow. Help me, help us. The pistol I stealthily tucked in my pocket looks like I won't even need to use it anymore. The girl narrowed her eyes just a little.
やっぱりそうだね。
Really? Well, what was it?
奏で大河くん、あなたはこの歌に導かれてここへ来た。
Ah!
そしてあなたはこの歌を作った人のことを探してる。その人に助けてもらうため。
I nod. I'm always searching for it. I'm always keeping search for a hero who would come to save us. When I tell her that, the girl tilts her head.
ヒーロー？
Yes, I nod. That person was my hero. I never met them, but I was told that's how it was. A Seigi no Mikata, who confronts difficult stories and guides people. Everyone must have looked up to someone at least once. The one I've always admired was that person. So, if I can find that person, they'll surely save us. For some reason, I cast my eyes down, lacking confidence. The girl who had been staring at me shook her head slightly.
残念だけど、
Huh?
あなたは間違えてしまってる。
Machigai. What? I asked. Everything. Zenbu, the girl replies.
残念だけど、誰もあなたを救わない。どんなに助けを求めても、誰もあなたに手を差し伸べない。だって、
The girl stared at me intently and continued. Datte. You are Kimi-wa.
あなたは救われる側じゃない。多くの命を救う側だから。
Huh?
あなたは信じないだろうけど、大河くん。あなたはね、生まれついてのヒーローなんだよ。そのための力を持って生まれた。
The girl said.
そんなあなたが現実にうろたえ、恐れ、ヒーローの登場を待ちわびていても、探し求めるものはどこに見つかるはずもない。だってヒーローはいつだってそこにいるんだもの。
Touching her small small chest with a fingertip, the girl said that. What in the world are you really? That's not it. I'm not the one who says. I'm the one who asked for help. Unaware of any grand story progressing, I just spend boring ordinary days in a tedium, a mere mob. I'm struggling just to protect a single person, let alone many. And yet, what in the world could someone like me possibly do? The Tokito bell rings. It's the sound of the bell announcing Asa.
時間切れ。
The girl murmured with a sigh. It was almost time for Yoru to quietly break.
ごめんなさい。お礼は次の夢で。また。
Her thanks.
次の夢では、あなたの命のルーツを伝えられればと思う。
Roots? Why? That's...
それがあなたの探し物のありかを伝える唯一の方法だから。
To me, silent, the girl spoke as if setting her words to the ota that continued to
あ
echo.
なたにとってのヒーローが一体どこへ行ってしまったのか。それはあなたにとってどんな人物だったのか。すべてを話して聞かせたい。それが私の役割だから。
And I want you to realize that your Inochi is far, far greater than you think it is. Onegai, the girl says.
どうか
Doka.
お願いします。私たちの未来を救ってください。奏大河くん。あなたが私たちのヒーローなんだよ。
With such a Yume-like words, tonight's Yume came to a noisy end. Amidst the confusion, continuous ringing of bells. Yeah. When I woke up, I was on the hard, cold floor of our hideout. I had a bad dream. I gently touched her forehead as she slept beside me. The kanju I kept by my pillow was also there. It's no good. I'm doing all I can just to protect you. For someone like me to be a hero. That's right. This is a Yume. It must be. Just because I admire that person, I had a Yume convenient for myself. That's all it is. Clenching the kenju, I leaned my body against yours, beside me, and closed my eyelids once more. May I not have a Yume this time, praying thus. To procure food, I was walking alone through the midday town. Looking up at the Sora idly, I sighed. The ski is falling from the sky. Who was it that first said such a thing? The world is coming to an end. There's nowhere to run. Who or was it that first released such a rumor, uwasa? There must have been someone with an incredibly strong influence. That's why people decide to abandon this planet. The ski is falling to Earth. I forgot. Anyway, It's huge. It certainly seems to have swelled to many times the size of the moon I looked up when I was old enough to remember. I can faintly make out several craters on the moon's surface, even from the ground here. The moon falling to the Earth. At first, everyone must have thought it was just a uwasa. There are many important people researching space, and they often casually announce predictions that scare ordinary, unknowing people. Everyone must have thought this was just another one of those. The ski will be pulled down by the Earth's gravity, and most of humanity will perish. The end of mankind, whispered as if true. Nothing even exists forever. What begins will eventually end. But for this planet's end to take such a form, could the people who lived in the past have ever imagined this outcome? At least most ordinary people living in the present still haven't been able to accept that fact. I'm one of them myself. Is this world really going to end? A mangetsu. I murmured to the sky I looked up at. Floating there was a daytime moon. A white moon, faintly reflecting the sunlight in the deep blue atmosphere. Its appearance was just like that girl I met in my dream. Those words slipped from my lips. I faintly hummed uta to the large daytime full mangetsu I looked up at. It was the uta I heard in my yume. I kept singing it to avoid falling asleep carelessly. I yawned, slapped my cheek to stay awake. If I fall asleep, I'll yume, and I'll meet that girl again. The girl the adults called... What's the Night Queen? Let me translate that. Yoru no Jo. Okay. Yoru no Jo. Jo. Okay. The O is like... I had to elongate the O. I felt certain of it. I wish that girl would tell me the whereabouts of the hero I've been searching for. She said she'd answer me about it next time as a thank you. I'm conflicted. What in the world should I do? What way of life is the right one to choose? If I meet her now, my hesitation will only grow. I knew that much all too well. A sigh. I closed my eyelids. I truly don't know what to do anymore. About anything. I reach into my pocket, and the kanju that should be there isn't. When did I fall asleep? I opened my eyelids. It was the yoru again, after 2 days. Just a moment ago, I was supposed to be sitting on a bench in the main street, staring up at the sky with a hazy mind. I haven't even made up my mind or prepared myself yet. I had planned to keep my distance from the yoru until all my resolve had solidified. So I was desperately trying not to sleep, but no matter how hard I tried, it was impossible. The limit quickly arrived, especially for me, still just a kid. The outside me must have passed out and fallen asleep on the bench. I was worried someone might play a fatal trick on me.
おかえり、ダイガ。
The girl smiled and said, Okairi?
うん、そうだよ。帰りを待っていた人が帰ってきてくれた。だから、おかえりだよ。あなたがまたこうして夜に戻ってきてくれるのを、私は待ってた。
So it wasn't wrong, right? The girl came calling herself, Mashiro said, tilting her head again.
でも、
Huh?
でもね、遅いよタイガー。
Her previous relaxed lips were now pouting in the saddest fashion.
また明日って言ってバイバイしたのに、それなのになかなか来てくれなかったね。もう明日じゃなくて明後日だよ。昨日の夜は楽しみにしてたのに、またあなたに会えるって。
A thought was playing, was coming from the gramophone on the desk. As I stared at the old machine, a hero, I muttered. I wonder where my hero went. The yakusoku was to find out where they had gone. If I could help it, I didn't want to come into the Yoru, and now I didn't want to meet this Yoru no Ju, Mashiro, if at all possible, but it can't be helped. Shikatanai, since I ended up here again and met you again like this.
仕方がないって。
Shikatanai.
なんだかひどい言い方だな。私、ちょっと怒ってみてもいいのかも？
The girl tilted her head, blinking her large eyes. Mashiro, the little girl claimed to have no past, no future, not even a present.
どうかした？私の顔、何かついてる？
Yeah, I shake my head. I was a little surprised.
驚く。何をかな？
Because you seem to have a slightly different vibe than the last night.
雰囲気？
Vibe, huh? I said, making a slight correction. It's hard to explain, but
いいよ。気にせず何でも言ってね。
she smiled. That's it. That smile. Last night you were quieter than now, or rather, in the Yoda where everyone had fallen asleep. I had the impression you were speaking in hushed whispers, as if secretly, but now you smile more than before. It was like exchanging Ohayo under the freshly risen sun. A just right feeling.
それは
Alright.
それはね、あなたが思っていた以上に優しそうな子だなって思えたから。ほら、死者の声を大切な人に届けてくれたし。
Mashiro smiled brightly.
だから、ほんの少しだけ私の緊張とか怖さだとか、そういうのが解けてくれたのかもしれないね。
Seemingly kind.
そうだよ。
Even though I'm so sullen. And here I was, unable to shake off my wariness, or rather, my utter confusion and utter bewilderment.
むっつりしてるのは自覚あったんだね。
Mashiro laughed, and I, on the other hand, only grew more sullen, because wouldn't you? You said your nervousness and fear and such had resolved, but that's my line too, you know.
どうして？
The Yoru no Jo. Do you know you're called that? You're the queen of this country, right? Kuni. Yoru no kuni. Okay, kuni, right?
まあ、そうだね。みんなそう呼んでるね。
She tilted her head. She made the skirt of her Mashiro dress flutter, and she said things. How is it? Kakkoi? I'm the Yoru no Jo, you know? That's gonna cringe. Her gestures and voice were so childish. I somehow managed to resist the urge to smile. So cute. She cried. Jo. This is just my personal impression. But that word at least a very strong impression. That's why I'm so nervous.
だから、むっつりしてる？
Something like that, maybe.
じゃあ今度は、あなたがほっとできるように。うん。そうだね。いろいろと話をしようか。
Hanashi. Oh, never mind. Talk. Mashiro nodded, saying that Soyo.
今宵の夜が明けるまで、私、あなたといっぱいお話ししたいな。
Saying that, Mashiro sat on the open frame window. Ah, bunai. In a place like that. She smiled, saying something unclear. Danger is always by your side, no matter where you are. And she touched her long hair, swaying the light wind as if toying with it with her fingertips.
私はあなたに、あなたの知りたい夜の出来事について話してあげるよ。
The long-for hero I've been searching for. Where did that person go? That is to say, it will be a monogatari about the roots of my life. About that secret, I'll tell you as promised.
代わりにあなたは、ここから外へ出られない私に、外の世界の出来事について話して聞かせてほしいな。
I tilt my head. Can't go outside?
ちょっとだけ事情があってね。
I can't tell if her expression changed there or not. It felt like she did. Maybe imagining things. So I can never leave this sparkling mabushi yoru. Mashiro said that blandly, as if she were just reading a prepared script.
だからね、タイガ。今、外の世界はどんな風に変わっちゃってるのか、教えてほしいな。
She wanted me to tell her about the outside world, as seen through my eyes. A resident of that world. That was Mashiro. The Yoru no Jo's request.
難しい？
Mashiro tilted her head at my silence. I shook my head. No, it wasn't difficult. If it was just that, I'd speak without hesitation. Demo. Wasn't it supposed to be arigato? Was it her telling me about the heroes a thank arigato for delivering the voices of the dead from a perspective completely different from kindness? Even so, do I also have to tell you something? I asked a little mischievously.
確かにそうだね。おかしいね。
Mashiro nodded, a serious on her face, but then...
まあ、細かいことは気にしない方向で、どうか、よろしくね。
She said that with a serious face, blinking her big eyes. It was involuntary. I realized that before Mashiro, a smile had involuntarily spilled onto my face. It was strange. Yeah, I felt a strange sense of nostalgia. Talking with her, the noisy haze in my chest cleared, making my past worries feel utterly foolish. I wanted to talk to her more. I couldn't help but feel that way, even though I shouldn't. Kimi wa... I said. You'll tell me about the person I'm looking for.
そうだね。
And I'll tell you what's outside the Yoru. It's an exchange of stories.
その通りだね。
Mashiro...
とっても楽しみ。
Shit. Mashiro... The Yoru no Jo.
何かな。
Will you also tell me all the reasons why you said you were waiting for me here?
もちろん。
Then that I hesitated slightly to say the rest, but with one breath I affirmed my resolve. That someone like me is a hero who will save you all. Can you properly explain that story in a way that I can understand?
頑張るよ。
It's a huge responsibility, huh? I have to be careful not to make any mistakes. Mashiro smiled and nodded several times. If that's the case, then yeah, I understand. I have no complaints about doing that. None at all. Let's exchange stories. We want to know. Stories we want to hear. But what should I talk about? I'm at a loss. Stories about reality. Stories about the world outside the Yume. There's no dream or Kibo there anymore. It's just a bleak and desolate. I'm sure I can only talk about things that would take away her smile.
そうだな。
Mashiro tilted her head. After a brief pause, as if thinking, she suddenly showed a bright face.
お菓子の話。
Huh?
ここじゃ食べられないような外の世界の甘いお菓子の話とか聞かせてくれたら嬉しいな。
Ama? Is that really okay? With a hanashi like that, I had heard if you gain something in the Yoru, an equivalent payment would arise. No matter how I think about it, a story I want to know, and a story about sweet treats don't seem to balance out. Is that really okay?
聞いてよ、タイガ。
何?
ここには甘いの、紅茶用の角砂糖くらいしかないんだもん。夢とか希望はあってもロマンがないよ。永遠に年頃な女の子が住むには味気ない。これってすっごくひどいよね。
Don't you think so? She asked, pouting her lips and huffing. And despite myself, I found myself smiling a little at Mashiro. This shouldn't be happening, even though I understood that more than enough. Because if it were real, I'll take you right now. Alright, we're gonna go in the story within a story. First, what kind of story should we exchange? As for me, I personally feel that things like an appropriate payment don't matter anymore. This is, after all, just inside the Yume. It's okay to have this kind of diversion. There's surely plenty of time to talk until the Yoru breaks.
それじゃあ、約束通り私から。あなたの探しているヒーローについて。そして、どうして私があなたのことを知っていたのか。あなたのことをここで待ち続けていたのか。どうしてあなたがこの世界を救うことになるのか。全部話すよ。
Mashiro said that, as if renewing her resolve, but she made a difficult face and fell silent. What's wrong?
今からあなたに伝えたいことは、こうしてあなたと出会えたらこういう風に話そうってずっと考えて頭の中で準備してきたことのはずだけど。
Mashiro gave a weary smile, as if to say things never go as planned when the time comes.
それを正確に伝えるのには一言じゃ難しい。私はずっとここで暮らしてきた。誰かと話すのだって久しぶり。あなたたちの作った本を読んだり、音楽を聴いたり、映画を見たり、時々甘いお菓子のことを夢見てみたりして、そんな生活。
That's amazing. I'm jealous.
でしょ?
Puffing out her chest proudly, Mashiro smiled. Then she spoke.
永遠に間延びしていく夜の中で、私が向かい合うのはいつだってあなたたちの残した想像力だ。誰かとこうして触れ合うことはほとんどなかった。
It's just that I'm shy, Mashiro added with a weary smile.
だからね、タイがあなたにこの世界に差し迫る危機だったり、そしてあなたの知りたい話だったりを上手に説明できる自信がなくて、わからないことがあったら遠慮なくダメ出ししてね。
I said I understood and nodded. The Mashiro, Yoru no Jo, is a wonderland shut-in. Kumori. She's inarticulate for her social skills, all self-proclaimed. I'll keep that in mind.
なんだか私、もしかしてからかわれてたりしてる?
By the way, you could obviously tell that Mashiro has the same VA as Kuro. I recognize that voice. Akane Fujita, man. Anyway. I shook my head, saying that wasn't the case. I'm not smart enough to point out your flaws. But if I have questions, I'll ask them. That's the deal.
ありがとう。
Wait, I'll be right back. I really want to grab some water. Okay, I'm back. Mashiro smiled, as if relieved, shifting her gaze to the shimmering Yoru, light hikari beyond the window. Okay, night light beyond the window. Mashiro slowly began to speak.
タイガ、あなたが探している人の行方を語るには、まずこの国の始まりから話さなきゃならない。
Alright, we need a lot of that context. Since she's not good with words, her explanations naturally wouldn't be great, I thought. She'd probably hope I'd listen patiently and kindly. To timid Mashiro, I replied, of course. I'll stay as long as the Yoru lasts. I had no regrets for the outside world. Mashiro offered a smile. Then she looked at the sparkling town outside the window.
朝より眩しい夜の国。ここはあらゆる時間の行き着く先で、終わってしまった時間が眠りにつく最果ての場所。時間の墓場だというものもいる。あなたたちの想像力、その力で思い描けるものはすべて未来だ。
Wait, why did it translate it that Noriko is time when she literally just straight up Miraida? That's kind of different anyway. Well, we're asking AI to translate this, so that's why this place, where all time eventually arrives, can even materialize thoughts, making them more real than reality itself. Those who call it Maho surely wish for Yume and Kibo to exist, and keep searching for them.
時間の墓場、想像力を魔法に変える不思議で奇妙な夜の国。ここでなら何にでもなれるし、ここからならばどこへでも行ける。そしてもうどこへも行けない。
Some say this is Tengoku, while others lament that there's no Jikoku worse than this place. It's a prison. A prison? A Jigan no... I have no idea what prison is. the prison of time, stretching on forever. Therefore, it's Jikoku.
そんな不思議な夜がどうして存在しているのかは、誰もね、知らないの。それはいつの間にか私たちの隣にあった。
Everyone who lived here thought so, and those in the outside world who knew of this place's existence felt the same.
だけどね、私は知ってる。
Oh, this is the zoom out version. I probably already thought... Anyway, never mind.
この場所がどういう思いの果てに、私たちの隣に、そしてあなたたちの時間の中に生まれ落ちてしまったのかを。だって私はね、私はあの人と一緒にここを作った共犯者の一人だから。
With that person? Who is that person? Mashiro offered a wry smile and continued her hanashi. There was a girl, she said. That girl suffered from a complex illness. Chikan. Azusa? Like, there's only one we specifically know that has something time related as a noroi or illness or whatever. That's automatically Azusa. So the actual Azusa? Well, oh yeah, well they did say that Azusa was the one who... They prophesized her as the one who made the Yoru, so Mashiro and Azusa created the Yoru no Kuni. She fell into the world of sleep on a mangetsu. That child, that girl, will leap into the future Mirai by the exact amount of time she had slept.
それは病と呼ぶにはあんまりに不思議な現象だった。ほとんど呪いだ。だけどあの人は堅くなにそれを病と呼んだ。病んだものならいつか自力で治すことのできるものだと そう信じられるからだと言って。
That person had come to this era from the distant Kako. This time reached at the end of a deep sleep. It was a distant future where parents, friends, even siblings, everyone had passed away. They must have had been so lonely. No one would believe their circumstances, nor would they try to understand. There was no one on their side here. No one. No one. No one would save them. No one would care for them.
それでもあの人は希望を失わなかった。実際は何度も絶望くらいはしたのかもしれない。自分の運命とか人生だとか、そういうものを恨んだりもしたと思う。
Even so, the person didn't give up. No matter how dark their heart sank, they always stood up in the end and looked up at the sky. They searched for the kibble sparkling there, to return to the kako where their loved ones were. They continued to search for a way to do that.
そうして行き着いた方法が夜の国を作ることだった。ここからならばどこへでも行けるし、どこへも行けない。夜を過去への架け橋にしようと考えた。
That person knew that they would create the Yoru no Kuni in the world of the Mirai. She was a girl born into a certain special lineage. A girl blessed by Yoru would be born into that lineage. Her immense talent meant her existence wasn't fixed in one time frame. The real question is, in the original timeline, how did it work? Like, the Yoru shouldn't have existed before that. Unless... I don't know, man.
少女自身が病と呼んだものを、周りの大人たちは才能と呼んでもてはやした。
At that time, Yoru already existed beside the era the girl was born in. Okay. So they already are they talking about the actual Yoru, like the phenomenon night, or are they talking about the Yoru no Kuni night? According to the adults, the girl with her Sainu would someday leap into the Mirai. The Mirai's Monogatari, its details unknown, said she'd create a Kuni. Because of that, Umme remain unchanged. That's why Yoru continues to exist, unchanging and ceaseless, beside everyone in every time. Except here in the Mirai no Jikan, that is the origin point of Yoru.
夜の国は一度どこかの時間の中で発生してしまえば、すべての時間上に生まれてしまうし、同じようにどこかで一度でも終わりを迎えれば、すべての時間の中から消えてなくなる。
So the Yoru no Kuni is a constant as of now, in all times. As long as the Yoru continues to exist, I knew the girl was prepared to one day fly to a very distant Mirai, a Mirai without her loved ones. But leaving her loved ones in the Kako was the one thing that worried her.
できるだけその時が来ることを先延ばしにしたくて、いろいろと抵抗をしたみたいだけれど。
So, and Kekyaku, the person came to the Mirai.
そうだね。その通り。
Mashiro nodded and suddenly looked up at the Yozora. Sakura were in full bloom there. Fluffy, filled with a soft fragrance, tiny fragments of haru fluttering down.
そうして未来で目覚めたその人は、大人たちの期待通りに夜を作ることになってしまった。
From here you can go anywhere and nowhere at all. Mashiro said that repeatedly, using all the Sosoriku they were born with as if creating a magnificent uta they tried to create here. But in truth, they wanted to avoid doing that.
その人は夜の国を作ることだけは最後の手段として取っておきたかった。大人たちの期待通りの人生なんて送りたくはない。そう思ってた。でも
I want to meet my loved one. Just one more time. To make that yume come true, there was nothing left but that. It was... This place was created to make one girl's yume come true.
そして大切な人が、誰より大切な弟が幸せに暮らしていける楽しいばかりの世界でありますように
Yeah, say good.
という思いの結晶でもあったんだよ。あくまでも最初はそうだった。
Go back to the Kako, to the Yoru no Kuni. Go back to meet her loved one. To make that yume come true, that person decided to create here. I repeated that in my head.
そうすることがどうしようもなく運命で、その運命こそを大人たちは利用しようとしていたことを、その人は十分に理解していた。
Yoru no Kuni. Many girls were sacrificed to maintain its existence far into the Mirai. And those who lived there were also treated terribly by the adults who sought eternal light.
少女は思ったの。自分がいつか未来で夜を作らなければ、そんな悲しい思いをする者たちもいなくなるはず。そんな思いがあったからか、少女はたとえどんなことがあったとしても、夜を作ることだけはしないと、自分の運命に逆らうんだと幼い心に誓っていた。
But in the end,
そうだね。結局は運命の通りに、あるいは大人たちの期待通りにそうしてしまった。
because she wanted to make her yume come true, did she weigh the lies sacrificed to maintain the Yoru against her own yume? And did she discard the lies of complete strangers?
そうだね。
Mashu nodded, her expression complex, as if she couldn't quite bear it.
少女はどうしても夢を叶えたかった。愛する人の隣に帰りたかった。きっと過去に置いてきた人に少女はさよならも言えなかった。別れはあんまりにも突然だったんだよ。お別れだけじゃなく、本当の気持ちも大好きって言葉も伝えられないままだった。そんな寂しさに幼い心は耐えられなかったんだよ。でもそれだけじゃなかった。
Huh?
会いたい人に会いに行くため、夜の世界を作り始めた少女は知ってしまったの。
Knew what? What in the world did that girl shoujo learn?
大人はいつだって自分の見たいものしか見ようとしない。そういう風に嘆いた誰かがいたようだけれど、それは自分たちの気持ちを理解してくれない大人を無理やりに批判したいがために形にされた言葉に過ぎない。
I only want to believe in phenomena convenient to me. It's not just adults to pray for that. Kodomo do too. Sumari, it's a problem concerning humanity's Sozoruku as a whole. It's certainly not limited to adults. Which means...
大人たちは別に私たちに意地悪をしようとしているつもりは多分全くなかった。大人たちもある意味被害者だったんだよ。永遠の命を得るという自分たちの欲望を叶えようと、頭を、そして心を狂わせられていた。ただ大人たちは何も知らない子供たちの未来を案じていたんだっていうことに私たちは気づいてしまったの。
Then, the Toke to chimed loudly. It was loud enough to make me want to cover my ears. Mashiro said, "It looks like that's all for today."
次はタイガ。あなたの番。
Smiling, Mashiro melted into the quiet night.
約束だよ。次はあなたの方から甘くて美味しいお菓子の話を聞かせてくれたら、とってもとっても嬉しいな。
I woke up alone on the bench. It seemed I had been dreaming here for several hours. I like how he could sleep for several hours, by the way. It was probably because I dozed off in an awkward position. My whole body ached as it were creaking. I touched all over my body. In times like these, I checked to make sure nothing was amiss. It's okay. Nothing was stolen, and I wasn't injured. I let out a sigh of relief and muttered, "Will I dream again tonight? If so, will this parting only last a few hours? Even though it's still in the Taya no Chikan. On this side. There's definitely a Yoro on the other side, isn't there? It's just that the Yume ended because I woke up from the sleep. The Yoro is always here, unchanging. Along with the subtle realization, I think. I felt awkward meeting that girl, Shoujo, and I tried my best to stay awake, but... Oh, what's the point? I gave up resisting. After all, staying awake is impossible. When I talk to that Shoujo, the lingering haze in my kokoro clears up. If I'm going to Yume anyway, I at least want it to be a more enjoyable Yume. Talk about Amai no sweets, whatever. Just talking about it is dull. If I could bring the real thing, the girl would be very happy. But within this Yoru, where I can't bring my physical body, even my Kenju disappears from my pocket though. Suddenly, I felt a chill. This sensation, it's that. Someone is nearby. It might be something malicious chasing us. I touched that Kenju in my pocket though and stood up from the bench. I heard a voice. What is it? It was a scream, I think. Such things are no longer uncommon, but I realized that chill seems to be coming from the direction of the scream. Cautiously, I headed there at a jog. I found a woman. Onna. I recognized that back. It was just the other day. She was the one who conveyed the debt that lingered by her side. Doshite. The one's back was translucent. It was a crowd. Amidst the murmuring in the center of the crowd, I found a fallen body. The translucent woman, Onna, was just staring intently at her own self without a sound. The source of the scream was the elderly woman holding the fallen woman. She was probably the woman's Okasan. Gathering the words of the people around me, it seemed the woman was stabbed by a random attacker. Just like her son slash beloved. Man, Sunset Town has a lot of crime. What the fuck? She died instantly, meaning she met the exact same end as her beloved. Gomen. I muttered a single word, and I quickly left the place. Even if I could convey kimochi, even if I could connect Yoru and Kinjitsu, I couldn't do something like that, take the hand of the dead and guide them. After that, the woman herself had no choice but to decide what to do with her Tamashi, whether to move on to the Sugi or remain here. Ah, that's right. I can never do anything. Looking up, I saw the calm evening sky. The white moon floating serenely there seemed to have grown just a little larger than before I fell asleep. You are a merciless Jo, who will one day destroy all humanity. The Yoru no Jo, I muttered as if calling the name of the story I've read somewhere. The Yoru no Jo'o had told me that I could save this world and its future. My sign is I can see death, and that I can interfere with it. It's what connects Yoru and Genjutsu. This power is by no means heroic for you. Gomen. I can't meet your expectations. I shouldn't meet them. I'm not someone who can help you, you know. With all that guilt, I still had the dreams tonight. I'm hoping to see you again somewhere in my heart, while wishing I could avert my eyes from such feelings.
うーん、甘いものは何でも好きだと思うけど、特にチョコレートが好きかな。
Wait a second. Why is Mashiro reminding me of Kuro? But we also know Kuro exists here because we saw Kuro in Kuro is the one who sleeps next to Taiga. But so far in the flashback story thing, Kuro hasn't been doing anything. To Mashiro, whose cheeks were melting, as if in the dream Yume at the story of Amai Mono, I told her, "What kind of Amai Mono do you like?" I had asked. It was a reunion just a few hours after we said sayonara. To that question, Mashiro had replied, "I guess I like chocolate." You've had chocolate before, haven't you? To me, who had asked that.
どうかな。わからない。
She gently shook her head.
過去からやってきたあの女の子からも甘いお菓子の話をたくさん聞いたよ。ケーキ、飴玉、アイスクリーム、チョコレート。話を聞く限り、一番ね、チョコレートが美味しそうだなって思えたの。
Thank God I'm going out after this. I'm gonna get some good chocolate or... No, wait, I actually bought some pie yesterday. Never mind. I shouldn't buy outside. That's how Mashiro would answer. And then I hope that someday I'll be able to stop myself and eat until my belly's full. I'm not dreaming about things like that.
いつか一緒にね。
Mashiro gave me that same gentle smile she always does. I'll look out the window. The town at Yoru is mabushi and brilliant. The rest. I think you could let me hear the rest of the story. If that little dessert story I share with you is really worth the information I want, then to gain something within the Yoru, you have to offer something of equal value. That's the rule.
わかった。
By the way, I'm just gonna finish this whole scene sequence, then I have to go. Mashiro nods and settles into her usual spot perch on the frame of the open ventilation window.
どこから話せばいいんだったっけ？
The adults. I go on as Mashiro tilts her head. The adults hard on us weren't cruel for their desires. They simply worry for the ignorant child's mirai. That's how it went. That's where the story cut off last time. They're cruel, malicious, clueless. That's the sort of mediocre adults they are. Truth is, it was all cruelty and spite for the child's sake, and because of that, she became an obstinate mule. In that way, I had understood the rest of what Mashiro had been saying before it got cut off last time. What were her true intentions, I asked myself. That looks like it could be an extremely important discussion for us. We'd come to this town clutching Kibo, hoping to escape those terrifying adults, to have someone shield us from their malice. That's why I want to know. And the real point is how her motives connect to my roots. That's what we're talking about. I wish to trade that story one. That's clearly anything but the amai for some amai no hanashi about ame. When I told her that, Mashiro nodded with a soft, "Yeah, it was," and tilting her head in that familiar little gesture, began to speak quietly again tonight.
月が空から落ちてくる。
Huh?
これからおよそ数百年後の未来、 月が地球の重力に引き寄せられ地上へと落下する。そして人類は滅亡してしまう。一人残らず。
What? So it actually does happen? Oh my god. That was just a hanashi. That's one of the things whispered about in the world outside the Yoru, the surface world. I certainly feel like the ski's outline had been growing larger than it was a few years ago, but hundreds of years from now,
そう、
humanity will Jinbui,
滅亡してしまう。
not a single one,
そうだよ。
that kind of thing. I thought it was just a hanashi.
うん、
Masher nodded and said, "So yo."
噂だよ。本当のことじゃない。
Huh? I tilted my head. What do you mean?
そんなのは起こらないってこと。悪い噂も悪い予感もいつだって本当じゃないし当たらないんだよ。
Is Mashiro just messing with us? What is she doing? Sumari.
月は落ちてこないし人類が絶滅することもない。何千年後とか何万年後とかそういう遠い遠い未来にならあり得ることかもしれないけれど。
But a subtle addendum would probably be unnecessary. That's only according to the current timeline of fate anyway.
そんな最悪の未来に人類が至ってしまうなんて、そんなのはどこにも根拠のないただの噂なんだよ。
Just straight up fear mongering and misinformation. But Mashiro said,
誰一人月に直接殺される人はいないけれど、だけどね、人の心は滅んでしまう。
Mashiro looked up at the Yozara from the window. At the end of Mashiro's gaze, there was a silver shining moon. I too gazed at the ski at the same way, repeating Mashiro's words and trying to voice them. No one will die, but instead people's hearts will perish.
これから数百年後の未来、人は心を失う。優しい気持ちは人間の心の中にしかないものであるはずなのに、月の光がそれを一つ残らずかき消してしまうんだよ。
What does that mean? Apparently, there are statistics that show heinous crimes increase on nights of the Mangetsu. Oh, I heard about that. That's a real life thing.
夜空に輝く満月の光には人の心の凶暴性のようなものに作用する何かが含まれている。そういう見解を示す人たちがいたりする。
Mashiro said, as if muttering.
凶悪な狼男について描かれた動画があるよね。
Yeah, I don't know the details, but I've at least heard of it.
いつもはごく普通の気弱な男の人なのに、満月の光を浴びると途端に恐ろしい怪物に変わってしまう。
Perhaps it's an old fable that remained because long ago, people likened those who committed heinous acts on nights of Mangetsu to Kaibutsu.
月は落ちてこない。だけど地球と月との距離は今とは比べ物にならないくらい近くなる。人の心を怪物に変える光の影響もまた近くなる。
Okay, I'm just gonna accept this shit. I'm not gonna question this. I already have my suspension of disbelief. Little by little, even though the worst was approaching overhead, no one seemed to notice the cause of this anomaly. Oh, okay. So they did have a setup in the story, like Taiga was commenting about the moon looking larger than usual, and then the random ass incidents, not so random now, incidents that involved the couple who separately died due to a stabbing incident. Anyway, young people these days are hopeless. That way, the core of the problem gets obscured, replaced by the immaturity of the heart.
この頃外の世界では凶悪な事件がよく起きたりしないかな。
Alright, just in cue, considering I just talked about it. 例えば、Mashiro said,
特に理由もないのに単にむしゃくしゃしたとか、自分は不幸なのに他人が幸せになるのが許せないとか、そんな理由で人を簡単に傷つけたり命を奪ってしまったり。
I realized Mashiro was talking about those people. A few days ago, they were the people I conveyed my feelings to. Today, it was the woman whose life was carelessly taken by a random attacker, just like her beloved.
だからもし人類が絶滅してしまう未来が本当にあるのなら、その原因を作るのは月じゃない。月の光の影響に負け心を失った大人たち自身なんだよ。
The barbaric acts of the adults who turn violent under the influence of the Kinohikari wouldn't just end with senseless murders or such a degree of savagery. Surely a large-scale conflict would erupt. They would misuse things that should never be used, and as a result, this planet would become a scorched wasteland.
そういう未来の方がよっぽど想像に優しい。あの月がまるで隕石みたいに降ってくる、そういう話よりは。
I don't know, man. You started with the whole moonlight thing and then connected that to people getting a little bit more antsy or whatever, and then that caused people to like get into wars. Like if you didn't start out with the moonlight thing, like you start out with people just being, you know, driven into conflict or some shit. That's enough for me. But you started with the moonlight thing, so that already like. Whatever, I'm just gonna suspend my disbelief here. I don't even know if that's true. It could be like spurious statistics, you know. It could probably be explained by, well, where there's light, so people get to be more aware about that. I don't know, man. I did hear about this phenomenon, but I never really dug deeper if it's real or not, or like there's some shit going on, you know. Whatever. Anyway, let's continue on our story.
その未来の光景は噂ではなく実際に未来で見てきた人の証言だから。
That's why she believed that Hanashi, Mashiro said. Adults whose hearts were driven mad wished to protect the Mirai and the children from themselves. What do you mean by that?
過去からここにやってきた女の子だよ。
The girl had once flown even further into the Mirai from this era. She had fallen into a deep, deep sleep, and she witnessed the scene of the Mirai. The shoujo had apparently actually seen that future, the reality of adults who had lost their hearts doing terrible things to innocent children. And this is wrong. Such a future must not be. I thought that. That's what I thought. So, is there anything I can do to avert that future? Returning to the present, the girl told Mashiro all she'd seen. She then reaffirmed her resolve to create this place. The Yoro no Kuni.
女の子は知っていたんだね。誰かに教えられたのか、ふと耳にした噂話を信じたのかはわからないけど、とにかく知ってた。
Knew what?
大昔、この町に夜の国とよく似た場所が存在していたことだよ。
A place very similar to the Yoro no Kuni? Huh.
だからそれを模して作り上げたのがこの夜の国だった。
Okay, I guess that would explain why the adults were like, you know, you with the time disease, or Noroi or whatever the hell. You will create the Yoro no Kuni. It's because there existed some kind of Yoro no Kuni before Yoro no Kuni, the one we know. Even if it led to the outcome the adults desired, she absolutely needed this place. A wanderer's land that would grant her wishes. Which means... So then... There are many things I'm curious about and many mysteries. But first, I'll sort them out one by one. So, that girl's illness, Yoki, allows her to go not just into the Mirai, but also to the Kako as well. If I take the words, I've seen the Mirai. Literally, that's how it is.
そうだね。正しくは過去へも行けるようになったと言うべきなんだろうと思う。
But wait, where did Asusa go back to the time when she left, like 10 years ago? There must be a reason for her not to go back. Because if you think about it, if she does gain the ability to go back, why wouldn't she just go back? You know, exactly just like, I don't know, an hour later after the whole incident, I guess she might have a reason.
ただし、彼女なりの印をつけたポイントのみという条件付きではあったみたいだけれど。
Oh, and what do you mean by marked? When she fell asleep again in the Mirai she had jumped to, she would envision the marked time and close her eyelids. Then, when she next woke up, she was able to return to the Kako.
一時的なものではあるけれど、彼女の病にはそういう制限のようなものが生まれてた。
It was only temporary, her ability to go back to the past. The Yoro no Kuni, where everything she envisioned came true. Perhaps the effect of that place acted upon her kokoro. That effect remained within her until that moment she took a step into adulthood. So she does end up losing her powers when she becomes an adult. So after becoming able to go to the Kako as well, though there was a further condition, she could only go to the Kako she had visited at least once.
きっとね、あの女の子は天才だったんだよ。
She was always timid, unable to even look people in the eye when meeting them for the first time. She had an introverted personality.
いつだって人目を避け、自分の部屋で本を読んだり、音楽を聴いたりして、頭の中で自分の世界に浸っている。そんな女の子だったけど。
Demo. No, that's not right.
その胸の中に誰より強い悲しみがあったからこそ、誰より強い魔法が詰まってた。
To Sozo, to give form to my thoughts, she was a shoujo, loved by such special things.
それゆえに、その女の子は夜の中で私という何かをも想像してしまえた。命はないけど、ここにこうして心だけは存在している。こんな空っぽみたいな私という何かを。
Mashiro picked up the hem of her Mashiro dress and fluttered it.
なんだか謎めいていてかっこいいよね。
Huh. She stood on her tiptoes with a prim expression. Yeah, you're right. It's certainly mysterious. You really do feel like the Yoru no Jo'o. Just a hunch though. When I gave a little nod of agreement, Mashiro blushed shyly and murmured, Soyo! That's true. Her tiny figure squirming bashfully.
話の続き。
Hmm.
その女の子はね、夜をこういう風に想像するため、私を作った。
To Sozo, the Yoru, as the girl wished, she needed an assistant. Even the Tensai Sazoroku she was creating an entire kuni. To accomplish that all by herself wasn't enough. Someone to talk to was needed. So within the Yoru, the girl first imagined Mashiro by her side. Yeah, regarding Mashiro, rather than Sozo, it might be more accurate to say she rescued her. Tonikaku. In the heart of the quiet night, The two of them. What do you mean rescued? Anyway, the two of them conversing gradually, little by little. The girl and Mashiro together imagine a form of Yoru.
あの女の子はこの国がどういう風な場所なら素敵だと思うのか、私に夢と希望を語るみたいにして話してた。
Sumari, it was less a partnership, more of a storyteller and listener. That was their relationship.
女の子はこの時間の中に過去に残してきた大切な人が面白おかしくいつも笑顔で優しく生きていけますようにと願いを込めた。そんな楽しい世界を作りたいと願った。
I have a dumb thought. What if you talk to AI in the same way? You talk to an AI. You're essentially Azusa, and you talk to an AI and call that AI Mashiro. I don't know, man. And then I don't know, man. What? I don't know if you have any purpose for that, but like, I just suddenly thought the idea that you could literally do what they're doing. Anyway, the girl wished. Oh, that's her line. When the girl said, "How about this?" to Mashiro, town sprang up in the Hoshisora, where only they were.
そして女の子はもう二度と大切な人と会いに行けないのなら、せめて夜を通して夢で出会えたらいいと願ってた。
In Yume, meet.
うん、
Nodding in affirmation, Mashiro said.
眠ることは死者の世界に生きることである。
Ooh. I mean, that kind of makes sense considering the dead souls do end up in the Yora no Kuni. The shoujo told Mashiro that there was someone who put the world into words like that.
その言葉を私は信じる。眠ることも命尽きてしまうこともまた次の世界に生まれ直すことと同じなんだって。
There, always by our side, someone is wholeheartedly cheering us on. Someone who cares deeply for us.
毎晩暖かなベッドで眠りに落ちればもう一度会いたいと願う。いつの日かさよならしてしまった大切な誰かとまた会える。
And sure enough, I know in my Yume that the person is always watching over me from nearby. Now when things are tough, they lend me their strength. I can know that I'm no longer lonely.
現実世界はあんまりにも厳しくて心の中の地獄に飼い殺されるかのような苦しい時間の連続だ。だからせめて眠る時だけはいつでもどんな時でも安らかでいてほしい。愛おしく思う誰かと過ごせるようなそんな時間であってほしい。
The girl, it said, always dream in the Yoru of making the Kuni, and her imaginative prayer created the sparkling Mabushi Yoru.
そうして大人たちの期待通りに生まれてしまった夜の国。
Outside the window, I saw a sparkling, twinkling Yoru. For now, that's enough. The mysterious land called Yoru that the child created. How the adults use this Yoru and how they worried about their future as children. And no matter what their reasons were, I can't imagine there was anything that could satisfy the many children who were oppressed. Therefore, right now, there's something else I'm more concerned about. Did that child get to meet them, I wonder? Oh, taisetsu na shito. They seem to have left behind long ago. Did they truly get to meet that person? Within this Yoru? Within this Yume?
ううん、
Mashiro shook her head.
女の子は願いを 夢を叶えられなかった。女の子はね、夢を叶えてもらったんだよ。
Wait, what the fuck? That's a little confusing. What do you mean, quote unquote, Yume? Huh? By whom, I wonder? Ah, Soka. I realized it immediately after asking. By you. By the Yoru no O. Did that child have her dream Yume granted?
違うよ。
Mashiro smiled and answered.
私は誰の夢も叶えられない。私はこうして何かを話して何かを聞くだけしかできない。ただの真っ白な何かでしかないから。歌だよ。
Mashiro said. Then the usual uta began to play from the phonograph.
遠い過去からあの歌が女の子に届いたの。
I want to see you. I want to see you. I will love only you for my entire life. It was a uta filled with such feelings. A song, Yuki, Ai to Yuki no uta. Okay, now I remember.
遠い未来であるはずの今現在。何年何十年とその歌はひそやかに歌い継がれてきた。
From those consumed by sadness to those about to succumb to loneliness. From one who loves to one who is deeply loved.
その歌は女の子が過去に残してきてしまった誰かが未来へ飛んでしまった女の子へ宛てて歌われた手紙でもあったんだよ。
And those uta, kimochi, became maho within the yoru.
女の子は自分のいる未来にまでこの歌を歌い継いできたたくさんの人たちの思いが重なり、ついに完成しただろうその歌の力で夢を叶えた。
And that might have been the true sign you of someone who left behind in the kako. Or maybe it's just a small whim from a kami-sama who was supposed to be cruel.
とにかくね、あの歌が女の子の心に届いた途端、夜もまた完成した。
The yoru no kuni the shoujo created to go meet the person she wanted to see.
心に思い描けるすべてが叶う不思議の国。それはあらゆる時代、あらゆる世界、あらゆる心の隣にそっと静かに夢見るみたいに現れた。
Every era, every world, and next to every heart. So, as she passes through the yoru, the girl can run away to the past, kako, where the person she wants to meet is.
そういうことだね。
Because everything was in effect, the shoujo created to go meet the person she wanted to see. The girl's loved one was in a very distant kako, so the yoru no kuni appeared next to us, a gateway crossing thousands of nights. The yoru could be completed that way because of this uta that came from the kako.
間違いないよ。
Mashiro said, narrowing her eyes. There's no doubt I truly believe it.
女の子は過去へ旅立った。会いたい人に会いに行った。この夜を通じて。時の終着駅から汽車に乗って。
I was organizing the story. Mashiro told me in my mind. The hero I'm looking for, is the person who created this uta. And that person was someone who lived in the distant past. That means the hero I'm looking for isn't here. They are in some distant kako.
そういうことになるね。
How many years was the kako that person lived in?
ごめんね。もう亡くなってしまっている。
Okay, so Taiga is a future guy relative to the time of Tomohito, okay? Then I guess at some point he goes to the past to fight the Yoru no O. Okay. Mashiro cast her eyes down and shook her head.
その人の思いだけが歌となり、今を生きてるあなたたちに届いたの。
She must have immediately sensed the kibble I wanted to confirm. Mashiro said that with her eyes closed. Give me a second. Even at that person at age, they were still somehow alive in this Mirai here. I tried to cling to that possibility, but that kibble was cut off. My heart grew heavy. This was probably an emotion I could call despair. Setsubo. I had believed that the hero I sought would solve the problems we face, would save our lives. I thought it'd help me figure out a way to avoid using that Kenju. But now I can't ask that person for help anymore. Absolutely not. My kibble was shattered. Ah, this really is Setsubo after all. If I'd known it would come to this, I never would have come to this town. Even quietly living out my life, doing what the adults told me to, that would have been fine. Because nazenara. Right? Who would have imagined that my own Otosan was a person from a distant past? What? What's going on? Wait, what? Wait, huh? What do you mean, your dad? What do you mean, Tomohito is your dad? Huh? Asusa is his mom? What? I mean, let's remove all the taboo shit. We already dealt that with Haru's rap, but how does that work? Okay, so in the future, right? And then somehow Tomohito and Asusa got a child, and why did they leave him? I don't understand this timey-wimey shit, man. But like, okay. Of course, they had to end the scene with like, oh, Tomohito's my dad. I'm like, what the fuck? Wait. No, never mind. I don't think I could risk it. I had to go out. I had to go watch a concert at 8 o'clock. It's 4:20. I had to get prepared and get ready to go out and all that sort of jazz. Anyway, I hope you guys are watching. I'll continue again tomorrow. I really want to continue try to get out like a long reading session out tomorrow, if possible. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I'll see you guys on the next upload. Ciao. Saved right. Okay, saved.
視線がぶつかるたびに近づく